What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Wear me your ears and I'll sing you a song. I will try not to sing out of key. And a little help from my friends. A little help from my friends. Oh, I'm going to have a little help from my friends. Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Greatness Machine. Hello, Isabelle.
Hi, Darius. I love it. I love this song. So perfect.
Oh, I'm so glad. Well, guys, welcome to the Greatness Machine. I'm your host, Darius Mirshahzadeh, and we have an amazing guest with us today, the one and only Isabelle Peyrichoux. And
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Yes.
All right, cool. Well, guys, before we get started, I want to give a little bit of housekeeping. Look, the format of the show is quite simple. We're bringing together change makers from all over the world who are living their passions to create greatness. And we're so lucky to have Isabelle here with us to let her tell us all about the greatness she's doing. So I'm so proud to have you. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure. I'm so happy to be on the show.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So guys, a couple of things. We are live. Start a watch party. And the way you do that is just go down, if you're on my screen at The Real Darius M, click share and start a watch party. Ask us questions. I have my team on standby and they'll be sending questions over our way. Like I said, this is a very special guest, and I kind of like hounded Isabelle softly. I just email her every now and again and say, hey, will you come be on my show? We actually met a few months ago, earlier in the year, and I just want to tell a little bit about what you do. Is that okay, Isabelle? So guys, Isabelle is the founder of Brilliant Seeds, and she is a career reinvention coach. She's a champion for helping people find their unique gifts and to do so from a place of passion and empathy. Did I get that? Did I miss anything?
No, that's great. And yes, and one of the things I developed a process that is really going beyond, the limitation of traditional career counseling, and that's very powerful for people to identify the career they truly love.
Yeah, so you built a system around the traditional career counseling, and so how we got introduced was I actually left my position as the CEO of a company that I built with my business partners in late last year. And I was, and some of you who watched the show will know that I've been going through this transition I talk about the transition that I've been going through in my life. And a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, Kate Shocks, you know who you are, Kate. She said, I have a friend who is working with this, career reinvention coach, and maybe you should talk to her. And I was like, what is a career reinvention coach? I mean, it's probably what it sounds like, but it's kind of I hadn't heard that term before. So I was very intrigued, and I reached out to you, and we had a great conversation. And what was funny was in the middle, I was genuinely wanting to learn about this. In the middle of the conversation, I had this moment where I basically said, Isabelle, the reason I'm not going to do this is because I want to do this so badly. And so what's funny is that my body was saying something to me. And I'm the reason I felt that way is that over the previous two and a half years, I had been going from one coaching program to the next. I had kind of been like a coachaholic, right? And so my instinct was because when you work with great coaches, especially, they bring out amazing things in you and you learn a lot about yourself. And I'm a learner. That's my number 4 strength. So I was learning about myself, and that was feeding that part of me. And it gave me ideas, and I have ideation in my strength. So it made me, I got really excited about that. But I got to the point where I said, I'm going to take a break from coaching. And I told Isabelle, I said, the reason I'm not doing this is because I want to do this. So I'm the opposite of probably most people. Most people were like, Darius, you should have done it. And I'm like, I'm doing the opposite of what my brain wants to do. And I'm going to go into the wilderness by myself. So that's actually what I've been doing is I went into the wilderness by myself. And now I'm in the wilderness by myself, like learning things the hard way, I guess. But I'm a bad example. I'm an example of somebody that has done so much development that I'm overdeveloped. I'm at a point where I'm kind of like rebelling against myself, right? And so my question for you is, people that, I'm guessing most people aren't like that. I'm guessing most people haven't done a lot of work, or they've done some work, but there's still a lack of clarity, and they haven't done the exercise or the work to figure it out. So they come to you, and maybe I'm jumping too far ahead, but I guess my first question is, why do people come to you?
Yeah. And one thing I want to say before I answer this question, because I think what you share is really important, is yes, first of all, a lot of people I talk to are not in your situation. And for me, it's really honoring. I remember when I talked to you, it was really about honoring your truth. And for all of my clients or the people I talk to, what is really your truth? Not in your mind, but in your body. And in your case, by really listening to you and hearing you, it sounded like your truth and what was more service to you was actually not to do coaching, because you had done so much and you had a kind of maybe a pattern of doing more coaching, and you were in a place where it was more for you to go on your own. But most of people I talk to, this is actually the opposite.
Right.
So it's really important to say, because I hear a lot of people who said, oh, when after they talk to me or they come to a class where I explain, we do some exercise, and like, you know what, I'm gonna try by myself.
Oh,
and
yeah.
most people, that just doesn't work.
So that is common, where they haven't had that experience, but they try to figure it out by themselves without coaching. Wow.
Yeah.
I actually, and again, being someone that's doing it right now for different reasons, I think that is an absolute mistake. And so, because that's like, I think it's undermining the value of what coaching really brings, right? So I know a lot of people that do a lot of coaching. I have a friend, by the way, he spent $1 million on coaching, right? And I didn't spend $1 million on coaching, but I did spend a lot of time and money. And he got to the point where he said, I'm not doing it anymore. Because I think at a certain point, if you've done the work, which most people don't do the work, then it's just a question of like, well, if you're doing all this work and you're not getting what you want, then it's not the work, it's you, more than likely.
Yeah, and I have mentors who often say getting help is not being weak, is being wise. And right. I find this is really the truth when we really want to have a fulfilling life, fulfilling career. And what I want to say also in the work I do, so a lot of people, to answer your initial question, a lot of people come to me and they are lost. They have worked, they're often successful in their career. They have worked for 5, 10, 15 years in a specific field. And they reach a point where they are not happy in their work. Sometimes they are totally miserable. They are stuck. They feel often lost. They have no idea. They want to do something, a work that is really making a difference in the world, that makes them, they are excited to get out of bed in the morning. And often they are clueless about what it is and how to find it, because they've explored work for the wrong reasons.
Right.
And especially in this context, they need guidance about unlearning all the way they have gone from the wrong reason to really get back to what truly makes them happy and what are their natural talents. And for a lot of people, there is no system out there. We are not taught that in school, in the corporate world. So a lot of people need guidance to do that. And they cannot really do that by themselves.
Sure. So the typical person will come to you, they're 10, 15, maybe even 20 years into their career, and something's happened and they're not happy. And to your point, they're probably experts. And we had a person on the show yesterday he's a high performance coach for leaders. Who's a great guy, where he's the leadership coach at Singularity University, Robert Ellis. I love Robert. And he said, they go on their path, and the path it's a known entity. They know where they're going, and they're just kind of going through the motions. And yeah, there's things that change here and there, but it's a path. And what you're talking about, at least from his point of view, is what's called a journey. And it's new, it's scary, and they've never been on it before. Excuse me, not he calls it a quest, not a journey. So that's a quest. And every good quest needs a good question, right? And so what I'm hearing you say is that these folks have been on this path that they understand, and then they get a calling to a quest because they're not happy on that path anymore. But a quest is different. A quest is an unknown. It's going into the wilderness. There's a lot of uncertainty, and they don't know how to apply maybe the things that make them happy or the things that make them feel fulfilled to not only survive in that quest, but thrive in that quest. And so for you being a career reinvention coach, and I want to say this again, because I don't know if people picked this up when I said this earlier. Kate Shocks, who referred Isabelle to me, doesn't make she never makes referrals, by the way, guys, ever. And she runs a venture capital fund with her husband. They're very successful. She knows a lot of really successful people. And she said, I have a friend who referred Isabelle, who said to me, Darius, who said Darius should talk to Isabelle. She is the best career reinvention coach he's ever met or heard of in his entire career. And this has come so I just want to reiterate that, because I think that's a really big statement. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted you on the show, which is so many people, I say this, they live lives of quiet desperation. They somehow end up in whatever career they ended up in. I'm going to use myself as an example. I never had a passion for my industry. I liked entrepreneurism. I liked making money. And then I figured out a way to do it my way. This is why there's a pink unicorn behind me right now, that felt authentic to me. But I felt like I was going kind of against the grain the whole time. And at a certain point, I wasn't getting fulfillment out of it. And I broke and I quit. And I said, I'm done with this path. And so now I started saying this, by the way, Isabelle. I tell people I've now retired from that industry. I'm done. I'm like, it's weird to say that, by the way. That's taking ownership that it's done. So people come to you, and maybe they're not retiring from their industry, but they're clearly not happy. And the way that I envision it for myself, and maybe your clients like this, are tied up in knots. They don't know to untie that knot to find out who they are. How do you approach people that are in this tough situation where they don't know where they are, they don't know what they want to do? And it's not to your point, you're not taught this in school. There's no, maybe there's a book on it, but everyone's different anyway. So it doesn't matter if there's a book. How do you get out of your own way? How do you approach this from your position?
Yes, that's a great question. And a lot of people that comes to me, sometimes they also feel they are in the fog. So they feel like in the fog, they cannot really see clearly what would make them happy and things like that. And so before I go in the how, I want to explain something for people that may be helpful as well, to explain why so many people get stuck in work they don't love, because there are a lot of people. There is a study done by Gallup at some point that say 80% of people are disengaged at work.
Right.
And which is huge. And there are many reasons for that. But one of the reasons is people often, when they choose a career based on the wrong reason, they had the decision-making framework was wrong.
Right.
And because decision-making framework we are out there to make career decision is a lot about, okay, what is out there? What are the jobs that I'm going to make money? What are to get approval, or what are the jobs, the type of career that are hot out there? When you live, for example, in the Silicon Valley, you have a lot of pressure to go in the tech world, whether or not it's aligned with you. So you have this kind of pressure or career that seems cool. At some point in my own path, I went into archaeology. So before doing what I'm doing now, I had several careers, and one of them was I was starting to study archaeology, not because I had a true passion for it, but because when I would say archaeology, people would say, wow, that's cool.
Really?
So it's like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool, for the ego. And so a lot of people chose career for these reasons, and it's why they get stuck. At some point they realize, I'm not happy, because they didn't make decision based on who they are and what they really love, their values, their talents, what I call their inner compass. And so they make decisions on the outside. So a lot of my process first is helping people realize that, and then going back to their own, what I call authentic self. What are their own inner compass? What are their own values? What the drivers of fulfillment? Not to make someone happy on the outside, not to get approval from society, but to get approval from yourself inside, where you get lighter, this place where you lit up and you do something, you could do it for hours because it's in your comfort, you love it so much. So helping people get back to that space inside of themselves is really key. And I have a process where we, step by step, we go back to that inner compass. That makes a huge difference in the process.
And so do you find that, I mean, at this point, I believe I read you've done this with hundreds of people. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so, but before I go there, so archaeologist, is that what you said?
I did. So when I was back in France, because I'm from France originally, so when I was at university and I did a master degree in archaeology, I spent several years doing excavations in the south of France. There was a lot of caves, so prehistoric caves. I was specializing in prehistoric time. And initially I was planning to have a PhD and become an archaeologist, and I was just dreaming.
So did you ever uncover any like dinosaur bones or anything like that?
I like the question. Not actually a dinosaur bones, but actually funny that you mentioned that. I discovered a tooth of a mammoth. Is that how you say it?
Yeah. Oh, mammoth? Really?
Yes. Yeah. And the tooth is really big. And initially I didn't even know what it is. So it's the guy who was running the camp, the archaeology camp. He came to me and this is a tooth of a mammoth. I had no idea. So yes, I remember I actually uncovered that.
Wow. Guys, everyone, you're now learning from someone that has actually held a woolly mammoth's tooth. Hey, listen, there's not a lot of people that can say that. So that's
pretty cool.
I'm impressed. I didn't know, well, I guess they were everywhere, but I was going to say, I didn't know that there was a lot of woolly mammoths in France, but I guess, at one point it was like, the whole world was one Pangea, right?
Yes. And in the past, can't remember now the time, even there were mammoths when there is prehistoric, like people living in France. Like, wow. I don't know, 40, we need to go back to my studies, but, maybe 40 or 50,000 years ago.
Were your parents, did they pressure you to become an archaeologist, or was this your own?
No. I didn't get too much pressure from my parents. Maybe a little bit on, but on my dad's side they were like farmers. So there was a little bit of wanting people to continue the farming. But no, archaeology was more my choice. So I went to, what happened is, after high school in France, I went to study art history. I didn't really know what to do. So it was a little bit like, and then I discovered I had a class with a professor about prehistoric times, and I love the class. So I really love the class. So this is true. I really enjoy the class. And I ended up going to, doing more like excavations in caves all around where I was living. And then I started imagining this path of me becoming an archaeologist and PhD. And so a part of it, don't want to say I didn't like it. There was a part of me who kind of enjoyed some of it. But a part, I don't think I enjoyed enough to make it a career. And this is a really important distinction. Sometimes, because I like that, but it's not the same when it's going to be central and you're going to do that day in and.
Oh, we're losing you. You there? Uh-oh. Amber, is she frozen? Am I frozen or is she frozen? Oh, you there? Sorry.
Yes,
so you were saying it froze. So you were saying that you like it a little bit, but not enough that when it's a central part of everything you do, then it cut out.
Yes. So, I didn't like it enough. And I think for me to be so central, and this is a key distinction for people, and often people who come work with me at the beginning, they say, I have so many interests. How gonna know which one is gonna be part of my work and which one is just gonna be something I do on the side? And so with the process I do, we really do a deep dive to really get at the core. What are your core drivers of fulfillment? The thing that your core values, I know you do a lot of work on values. What are the core values that are not a nice to have, but a must have? And when you get more in touch with that, it's easier to know what is central versus what is gonna just stay a hobby on the side.
Interesting. And so it sounds like almost a hierarchy around values, a hierarchy around your essence, if you will, right? It's like there's certain parts that you need to feed, but maybe it just needs a little bit of food and then it's good, right? And then there's certain parts that's like, I want to say incessant, like there's like you can't satisfy that appetite because it's so much of who you are that, and if you're not, and at least in my experience, and I had a very, like what you're describing is probably my experience, right? That, and you were saying we kind of end up in these different jobs, sometimes out of necessity, sometimes out of ego, sometimes out of both, sometimes out of parents, influence, whatever, right? Circumstance. So, I mean, I ended up in my business because I was really focused on making money. I'd always wanted to make money. My dad was a big person about making money. I was very money motivated from the youngest age. I still love to make money. It's an important part for me. I know I like to make money, and so, but when I was poor, I was a college student, right? So like, you know, and my dad made it special. My dad did stuff like he'd say, "I'm not paying your tuition. You got to figure it out," you know, or he would make me beg for him to help me with rent. So so I started paying my own way when I was about 21. So I did, because I didn't want to ask for money anymore. But when you take on that responsibility, you now have to go make money, right? And if you're in school full time and you're trying to support yourself, you end up working like 100 hours a week. So, and I have a strong work ethic, so that was fine. But then I got out of school and I was like, I don't want to have to work that much. I don't want, if I'm going to work that much, I want to make a lot of money. And I want to have a lot of money because I want to be successful and I want people to know that I'm successful. And so by the time, and I was like, I'm going to build a huge company and I'm going to be a millionaire and I'm going to make tons of money and people are going to be like, that guy makes a lot of money and I'm going to know I have a lot of money and I'm not going to have to worry about money. And so this was like, I got obsessed about making money. Now I learned something pretty quickly that was interesting as to what you're just saying right now. At a certain amount of money, I quit caring about making money as much. And it wasn't a lot of money. It was a lot less money than had you asked me when I had no money. Like it was like probably like a fifth of or even a tenth of what I thought the number would be, where I was less, I still wanted to make money, but it wasn't like my focus, right? So that got satisfied. That part of Maslow's hierarchy was done. And then I was like, well, now I want to have impact and I want to make money. And I found it very difficult. Although in the mortgage space, you can make impact by helping people get into homes. When I would tell people, you know what it was actually, Isabelle? When I would tell people that I was in the mortgage business, I would, as I'm a very sensing person, I would sense their disappointment. And it was like, and I don't even know if they knew they were doing this. It was like, they kind of got bored.
That's not exciting. Oh, mortgage, okay.
Oh yeah, like
or something like that.
Like they weren't like there was, and I would sense their lack of excitement, and it offended. It like started bothering me because I was like, well, I don't like that, you know. And I realized, I said, oh, because this is all about making money, you know. It's not interesting to them because what's in it for them? Like some guy that makes money, no one cared. And the more I saw that, the more it made me want to have more impact, which was this new currency that I wasn't being. And now I was like, oh, I have money, but I'm not getting this. I'm starving for impact.
Yeah, because often there is this, you know, when you say starving, I think there is a starving for a soul wants to express. You know, we are all here to express something, and the money doesn't satisfy a part of that, but doesn't satisfy all of it. So yeah, it sounds like in your case and a lot of people, there is a place in you that wants to make impact and fulfill, express your gift in the world in a certain way. And I see every people I talk to, all of my clients, they have that inside. And it's why also when this part is not satisfied, we can compensate, by all kind of addictive behaviors.
Yeah.
Like whatever is food, is whatever the thing is for each person. When that part of nourishment, your soul or your heart or want to be nourished, and this is exciting to help people clarify what that is for them, because then, imagine when you are within, you feel nourished and you make the difference in the world you are here to make. You can just relax and be at ease around it.
Well, right. And you could lean into it, right? Because you're like, oh, this is, and maybe it changes over time, right? Because we're constantly evolving. But to your point, like, you're helping them identify, from what I heard you say, is I understand that you're helping them identify what, as a friend of mine says, what makes your heart sing, what makes you feel alive, what makes you feel like you're in a flow state. And where time goes by and you look up and you go, oh my God, I've been doing this for 2 hours. It felt like 2 minutes, right? But you have to, and some people say, well, oh, that's a first world problem. Like, like, I can't worry about that. I have to worry about making money. But like, so I guess that's my question for you, because I've seen that. And we talked, by the way, what I just said to you is based off of what I've seen people say in the comments section of Scott Dinsmore's YouTube TEDx talk. So for those of you in the audience that don't know, Scott Dinsmore was a guy that did this TED talk on how to find work that you're passionate about. And he spoke at a TEDx talk that I did in 2012. But when I first spoke to Isabelle, I think you brought it up to me. Oh, there's this guy. She brought up this guy who did this really great talk. And I said, or maybe I told you I did the TEDx event. And you said, oh, I think I know somebody there. So it turned out that she and I, you had met Scott, isn't that correct?
I met it once in San Francisco, and also he did wonderful work, and I want to honor his memory, because he passed away climbing in Africa, and in a totally unexpected way. So honoring his memory, he's done so much work, and maybe he's here with us right now, in the conversation.
Yeah, no, Scott's, it was funny. So yeah, where I was going with this is that unfortunately in 2015, he had a tragic accident doing something amazing, actually climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, and he passed away. But when Isabelle and I were talking, we connected over the fact that she had met him and that I knew him, because his talk that is now a famous talk went viral at this event that I did. And one of the things that Scott said to me, which made me think of you right now, is, I don't know if he and I, like, we became friends because of his talk. And so what would happen is I launched that talk and it had 0 views on YouTube. And for those of you that don't know, it's look up Scott Dinsmore, how to find work you're passionate about. It's on YouTube. It's on TED.com as well. But Scott Dinsmore, it sounds like it's spelled. And I think he's at 12 million views now of this talk. It's pretty amazing. So the day I put it out, he's like, all right, Darius, you got to put it out at this time on this day. I mean, there was all these rules he had for me, right? And I'm like, and he's the only speaker in the whole event that's like having these rules. And I'm like, okay, man, like, relax. And so I listened to him. He had to be on a Tuesday. It had to be at like 4:30 in the afternoon. There's all these rules. And right away, I saw it go to like 25,000 views in like a week. And I was like, holy crap, like, this is crazy. And so I kept communicating with him, because it went to like a 25, 35, then 100, and then it 200 and 150, 250, 300. And every time it would hit a new milestone, I'd email him. I'd be like, hey, look what I saw today. and so we would celebrate, and we celebrated. This is 2012 when he did the talk. So we celebrated it for 3 years. And over that time, we became better friends. And so in 2015, actually, in April, I think it was, or May, we went to TED in Vancouver. And he and I went together, and we weren't roommates or anything like that, but we hung out a bunch, because I had gone before and he was new, and I knew people there. And we were talking about the work you're doing right now, actually. And what he said, work around passion, people doing work that they feel passionate about, is such important work to be done. And it was funny, because at this point, his platform had grown tremendously. He went from like small little thing he was trying to build to like worldwide. People knew who he was, and he was changing lives. And so I think what you're doing is so important, because I see that in this world that we live in today, this digital world, it's a world where the values of the world are around making money, showing off, who's more celebrity. Like, these are the things that on average people, like our society values, right? Who's the best at something? They should get attention for it. Oh yeah, if you're none of these, you're a loser, right? Our president likes to say that, right? And so people, I think that makes people feel inadequate, right?
Mhm.
And so,
Yeah, I see.
I don't know. Like when people come to you, what do you, with that in mind, that there's so many pressures for people to be the best or to live their passions. And they probably, and my guess is they're putting a lot of these pressure on themselves, right?
Yes.
What is your process to help overcome that, knowing that there's societal pressure for them to be the best? And in their mind, and especially in Silicon Valley, right? In Silicon Valley, you have like, it's a strategic mindset type of place. The smartest person in the room wins. It doesn't matter if you're the youngest, it's the best gets the best, and you're surrounded by a lot of money. And then they come in and they don't measure up, or they're not happy, and they come to you. How do you overcome that, knowing that there's a lot of environmental pressures that are going to be there no matter what you do?
Yes, it's a good question, because there is so much environmental pressure, and everywhere in the world. If it's not in Silicon Valley, somewhere else, because I have clients. I have actually clients from international clients. I have clients from Singapore. I have a client from China. I have so, and we see different pressure, social or parental pressure that takes different shape, but there is everywhere in the world. And so what we do is that instead of focusing on the pressure from the environment, where people are so used that they are swimming in it, we take the time to put the focus on who they really are and their authentic self. So we do a process, especially, my programs are several months, and we spend at least the beginning 2 or 3 months diving into what is their authentic self. So going into their own values, what make them happy, what light them up, their unique talents, what are they naturally good at, what are their personality types. So we focus so much on themselves for the next 2 or 3 months, and what light them up, that slowly we counterbalance. We have to counterbalance because the pressure is too high. What they think they are, their authentic self is here, and the pressure of society is here. So we have to find a way to make it counterbalance, so that they are able to make decisions from that place. So it's why I spend a lot of time. We dive deep into, their own. We do own self-discovery, but I was doing excavation for archaeology. I help them do excavations inside of themselves.
Yeah.
And at a level most people have never done before. Some people think, oh, I know who I am. A lot of my clients, they just keep discovering things that, they even didn't know, or sometimes things that were white in their face that they couldn't see.
Right.
So I have these clients who, she everywhere she goes, she loves organizing places. She go to a place and she already see what needs to be organized, and it was so natural to her. She was even not seeing it. It was the water she was swimming, and as we did the process, she realized, oh my God, it was white in my face.
Right.
I couldn't see it because it was so the water I was swimming in.
Right. Yeah. The fish doesn't know that the fish is in water, right? To your point, like people get it's so. There's a question that I'm going to ask. This question that came from the audience. Do you think everyone making these career transitions should work with a coach?
So if we wanted to make a career transition to work with a coach, I mean, it really depends the situation. So it would be help if the person, I don't know what the situation is exactly, because it really depends on the situation. I would say it definitely helps first of all to ensure you are going in the right direction. Right. That you're not gonna 2 years from now regret and say, oh no, this is not the right one. So first of all, to be clear on that and have a vision that is aligned with your purpose and your calling. So this really helps. And then navigating all the doubts and fears, because as you said, there is so much society pressure that I see even when people are clear, my clients, like it's hard to take the step. Sometimes you have doubts. Oh, I'm really doing that. what people are going to think, what thing. So having a coach to really hold your hand until you can really fly by yourself and feel like I don't care anymore about the societal pressure. I'm going to do it. So it's really I think it really make the process way easier and faster to do it with a coach who knows how to support you in that.
Yeah, I think you made a great point earlier, which is, I think that depends on the level of awareness someone has, right? If someone has very high awareness, self-awareness especially, it's maybe a little easier to see where they're going to be more, they're going to identify where their shortcomings are or that. But I think part of awareness is when you're aware of the fact that you're too close to the problem, right? So that's where I think that what you're saying is a lot of these people, they're so close to the problem that they can't see the problem, right? Yes. Because it's part of who they are already, and they need someone else to say, did you know the problem's there? And they go, oh, it's right here on my, maybe it's not even a problem, maybe it's a solution, right? But they're so close to it. So for example, the person you just said, everywhere she goes, she likes to organize. What am I going to do with my life? I don't know. What should I do with my life? It's like, well, I think it's pretty obvious what you should do with your life. The thing that you love doing, which is, does she have like an organizing business now?
Yes, she's on the path of really doing that, and it was right in her face. And it's funny because most of my clients, not all, but it's often the case.
Yeah.
Often I start seeing things, but they don't see. It's just either they don't see it or they discount it, like because it's we have in society this thing. Oh, I should be a doctor, or a lawyer, or work in tech. So we have this idea of what a good position should be. When something else, they say, oh, like they discount it. So I help them really see what is for them and to not discount it. Because
Right.
If you have a gift, we need all of us in the world. And your gift is just valuable. All the gifts are valuable. So helping them, just really kind of see that. And I remember working with the CEO. She was the CEO of a startup, and she was really bright, really smart, very successful, but she was really not happy. And the investors she was working with, there was clash in values.
Right.
And there was a big clash of values. She wanted to do something she loved and have an impact. She had no idea, even if she was successful, what it was. And as we uncovered, the process, one of the blind spots among other ones is that a care and compassion. She thought, she had a lot of care and compassion and wanted to create the business world with more compassion for people and more respect, and creating a business around these kind of values. But she wasn't see it. And when I pointed out to her and we asked feedback from people that she was actually really kind and compassionate, she was like, really? Do I have that inside of me? She couldn't see it.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. And so it's funny you're talking about the concept of values and how that plays into this. And so I want to relate. I think after I spoke with you, I don't know if I told you this story, but 2 doors down from me is the #1 barbecue person in the world. Did I tell you that story when we met?
I'm not sure.
I don't know if I told you the story. So there's a guy named Aaron Franklin. He's the top barbecue pit master in the United States, which for people that aren't into barbecue may not sound like much, but that's like being the #1 chef in the United States for a certain type of food. It's a big deal. I mean, like the guy's and the United States likes barbecue. So like the guy's on the Cooking Network or the Food Network. He's on the Food Network. He's sold 1 million cookbooks. He's a big deal. And so he lives 2 doors down from me here in Austin, Texas. And I had lunch with him, and I said, Aaron, how did you get into barbecue? And he said, the answer he gave me was, he said, well, Darius, I didn't find barbecue. Barbecue found me. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of annoyed by the answer, right? So, because I like the story. I want to know the history, like the why. Like I'm a learner. You can't tell me that answer. That doesn't feed my learner, strength. And so I went home. I Googled him, and there's Esquire magazine and People magazine. He's a famous guy. So I read this 8-page Esquire article about him, and it tells the whole story. And it was an amazing story. Now, mind you, we had 2 hours of lunch. So he could have told me the story, but he chose not to. I guess he just didn't want to tell the story. It was an amazing story, Isabelle. And he was right. At the end of it, he didn't find barbecue. Barbecue didn't find him. So then I had a moment, and this is probably right after I spoke to you when we had our call, where I said, oh man, I wish I had a barbecue in my life. Something that found me that I was passionate about, right? And then I stopped myself. I said, dummy, you do. It's core values, right? And I realized that for me, that it was staring me in the face. I had written a book about it, and I was so that moment I was like, wow, if I could be that close to something, that I wrote a book, I published a book. It's getting published right now, but I spent a year talking about this thing, and I built all these businesses off it, and I have a conversation with the person, and I still don't see it. Yes. I can imagine most people come to you and they don't see their special gifts. That must be the easiest thing for you. I mean, maybe it's not easy for you to uncover it, but it's probably easy for, like, out of your clients, do most of them not see their most unique gifts?
A lot. Quite, yeah. Most of them don't.
Or acknowledge it.
Yeah, they don't, or they take it for granted. They don't see it. They they just take it for granted, or they think, wow, what is, or they want to be somebody else. It's interesting, the example you mentioned, because we have this thing as human being, like, because you were so inspired by this story, which is great. Oh, what is my barbecue? Right. we go into the outside when actually it was just white. Yeah. There, so we tend to put the intention, oh, I want to be like these people, and going back to, but no, I'm not like these people.
No.
There is something else for me to do on this planet that is just unique to me, and it's already in me, and it's what I'm doing all the time without really realizing I'm doing it. It's right there in the face. And one of the, maybe I want to give maybe a, some tips for people who are watching, if they wonder, how do I start clarifying that?
Yeah, please.
I think that can be helpful. Is there are different ways to do that, but you can, one of the things is, if you love reading books, for example, just pay attention what kind of books you are reading. What are the themes of this book? If you are drawn, you watch interviews, or radio shows, what are the interviews, or the movies you are watching? What are the themes of these movies that you are watching? When you have conversation with people that you get excited about, what are the things that you get excited about? Or where you're focused when you have a conversation with someone, or you go to someone place, what is your focus goal all the time that you cannot help noticing? So to help you see the water you are already swimming, being like a detective with yourself.
Right.
Exploring these kind of things.
So if they start looking at, oh, I like to learn about history, and I love, like historical movies, and I like to learn about people that overcome adversity, just by like seeing those themes, they can know that maybe what I'm hearing you say, and we haven't talked about this much, but I want to, you mentioned it a couple of times, is it that helps them identify their values, right? Because normally a movie I like is a reflection of what I value, right? A book I like is a reflection of my values. The people, what I find interesting about you is a reflection of what I value, right? So forget about the word values, just say, this is what I value, right? That's why I care about it, right? So isn't what you're saying really is them really getting, and I get what you're saying, that this is a easy way for them to pay attention, to have an awareness of what they care about, right? But my question for you is, when you do this work, how do you take the idea of core values? And this is my own selfish question now, because my book's coming out in 3.5 weeks. How do you take the concept of core values and play that and put that into the equation of making a career transition? I mean, this is you're talking about a full reinvention a lot of the times of what they're doing with themselves. How do values and purpose, come into play with that type of work?
It's essential. It's part of it. The first thing I do with my clients is actually exploring their values. And the way I do it, we do some deep self-discovery around it. I don't have a pre-canned list that I ask them, check which ones. We do some visualization to help them uncover that, and we spend 2 hours just on that. So clarify what for them are they unique. And the way I see values, it might be different, for you or different people, but it's really what are the ingredient of fulfillment you need in your life. So it's not just value around, honesty or integrity, but also I love problem solving, and this is a value of mine, meaning if I don't have problem solving in my life, I'm really not happy. So what are the things that you need to have to be really fulfilled? And we dig deeper, it's the problem solving in general. We look at what kind of problem do you like solving? How do you like solving problem? When we get to the core of that kind of values around problem solving, for example. So we go into these elements. And so when we get to explore more the career they love, these core ingredients need to be there. For example, if problem solving or some people love having a challenge, they are really need, or variety, diversity, like not doing the same thing. We ensure that in the work we're gonna clarify these core values are gonna be present, because if they are not present, forget about it. You're not gonna be happy, because your values are really the measurement of fulfillment. So
right.
It has to be aligned and in the work. So we start with that, and then we build with different things, with your strengths, your passion, all of that, all the different layers to get to the core of what's really essential to you. We use different lenses. So value is one, strengths and talents, personality type, life purpose, interest and passion. So we look at a lot of different angles, and we combine them together to get to the core of what you are here to do.
That's interesting. Well, my other question for you would be, because I think that one practice that because I use values and strengths as kind of the two lenses I like to, like when I'm just measuring, I like things that I'm going to spend my time on. But one practice that is outside of the lens that I've worked on is awareness, right? Because if I'm not aware, then I miss stuff, right? So the practice of meditation for me, combined with those things, has made it where I can see, oh, there's a values issue, or just the paying attention, that having that practice of paying attention, I believe has strengthened my ability to identify when I'm sitting there saying, I wish I had a barbecue, right? My guess is the reason maybe I caught it was that my awareness muscle is stronger than it was a year ago when I didn't meditate, right? And I've been meditating for a year. So is there anything that you do around awareness or talk to them around, being present with these different areas? Like, is there any work around that? Because obviously if they're not aware, if they're not present, I think there might be issues around them, even if they do the work, really coming up with the right answer. You know what I mean?
Yes, no, it's a good point. I love that you pointed out. So first, a few things. The first thing is that because of the process, we do a lot of having them look between session at what are their values and strengths. So they do a lot of introspection. So they build in the process, they build the muscle of looking at themselves and introspection and knowing who they are. So this by itself helps, because then they do it so much that the introspection muscle going back to us. So this piece is a huge part. And then after that, depending on client, I also recommend, some practices. And it's really adapted to each client. Some people like meditation. Some people, they have a different way of doing meditation. Some people, sometimes going for a walk in nature is their meditation.
Right.
So I try to really see what are your practices that you do on a daily, weekly basis that help you forget the craziness of the world, and especially why now we need it, or the influence of, what's it, the shiny object outside, to go back to you. So it's going in nature, it's meditating, it's doing something you enjoy, going in the water, so I help my clients really develop these practices so that they can support them in being more clear about their own truth and distinguishing what you said, what is a shiny object on the outside, like the barbecue, oh, the shiny object, versus what is my own truth for myself.
Wow. So we're running up to the end of the show here. I have a question I like to ask lots of people on the show. So obviously you've done a lot of work on yourself to figure out what you care about. And on your website, it kind of talks about how you were in tech. And prior to that, it sounds like you were on the road to becoming an archaeologist. And here you are being one of the top transition, life business coaches out there. What are your values? What are your core values in either in your business or in your personal life that you think are helping you bring greatness to the world right now?
I like this question. Yes, such a good question about the core values. So there are several. One of my core is the freedom to be myself and the freedom to be yourself. So I have a strong value of how can you be fully self-expressed as a human being through exactly who you are, your unique essence, and letting go of the conditioning and that you learn from society that are not you. So this is a big driver for me for the work I do and for helping my clients getting to that beautiful essence that is so brilliant. It's why my business is called Brilliant Seeds, because we go back to that brilliance that is just inside of you and letting go of the rest. So the freedom of, of being yourself exactly as you are is a huge, I have so much respect when I think about that with my clients and for each person uniqueness and what uniquely make them shine, happy, the way they make decision. Each person has a unique way of making decision. And I hate when people try to say there is a way you should do it.
Right.
Really helping people find what is it for them. Interesting.
I love that. I hear a lot of love in your values. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's my number two. That's my number 2 core value. So
core values, love. And I just mentioned one, but there is a lot of love and compassion. I have love and compassion for each human being on the planet, and beyond that, human being, animals, but my work is more with people than animals. But it's why but the love and compassion for each person exactly as they are.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love doing this show. I get to spend time with amazing people like you. So where can people find you? I know that the team should be posting some links in the chat, but where can they find you? I know there's some really cool things that people can do to connect with you around some assessment work. But if you don't mind, just kind of give the rundown of how people can work with you. Where can they find you? What sort of things can people do to really learn more?
Yes, thank you for asking. So first of all, my website, brilliantseeds.com. It should be in the comments, so you'll see where you can learn more about that and what I do. I also, for people who are listening, watching right now, or watching the replay, and you're like, wow, how I want to get started on that journey, I have a free report that gonna be, I think, posted in the comment about what I talked about today and how the framework to really go back to you and your own authentic self with some concrete step and exercise to get started. You can get started right now on this path, and some cool exercise you can do. And then finally, for people who are watching, and if you like, I'm really that resonate a lot with what you said. I feel like I'm ready to get support right now on this journey. And I like what you said. It feels like aligned with what I want. I'm happy to talk. You'll see on my website, there is a link. I offer like a complimentary breakthrough session to help you kind of clarify what is the career you want to do and what is in the way and what are steps you want to take. And feel free to go on my website and apply to that. And I'll be happy to have a conversation with you about how I could champion you and support you to bring your gift into the world.
Yeah, everybody. I was, the way we met was I was lucky enough, like I said, to get the introduction. I spent the time with Isabelle, and it was time well spent. So if you are not feeling like you're like in the flow state of loving what you're doing, like this is an amazing person who can really support you and help you identify what the next quest is going to be. So that said, Isabelle, thank you so much for being on the show. This has really been wonderful. I really appreciate your time.
You're welcome. It was just wonderful. I'm feeling so excited about it. Loved it.
Thank you. This is such a great show, guys. I think I got some people in Australia that booked for over the weekend. So I don't know how that happened, but I think I have a show on Sunday or tomorrow. I was going to say I will see you next week, but I think I got some Australians. You guys know who you are who booked, but we'll see you, I think, over the weekend with some of my people down under. If not, we got a big week ahead of us next week. What a great way to cap the week with Isabelle. I'm so grateful, like I said, to have you be a part of the show and to finish such a great week with you. Thank you, Isabelle.
Thank you. So grateful for you, Darius, and all that you do. And I love that you use your gift right now to interview all of us. And it's so good.
I'm the one that it's selfishly, it's all for me.
but this is the thing, when you do what you love, you do it for you because it feeds you so much, and then you help other people. So
yeah, that was what I figured out. I'm like, oh, well, I get to have an hour-long conversation with an amazing person like you, and then everyone else gets value out of it because they get to learn a bunch. So it's a win-win.
I love that. Yes.
Yeah, it's so cool. Guys, do me a favor. There's 3 ways you can support the show. Go to @TheRealDariusM on Facebook. Follow, subscribe, like, start watch parties, share the content. We have so many great, amazing thought leaders that have been on the show that sharing their work is just, you're giving a gift to your friends and family. And Isabelle is definitely on that list. We all know people that need to make transitions in their life, and they need people like Isabelle to help them do that. So please share the show with anyone that you think that even just wants to get a hint of help. And or just to learn. Like Isabelle's such a wealth of knowledge. I've been to her website. It's so great. There's so many cool things on there, and it's a really great way to connect and to really, explore the ideas of living your best life. The second thing is subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can go to it's under my name, but just type in The Greatness Machine, find the channel, and subscribe to the show. That way you get emails letting you know when the shows are happening in case you miss them. And I do, as you guys all know, a ton of shows because I have so many amazing people that I can't wait to talk to. And last but not least, go to my website, therealdarius.com, and just sign up. And we send an email newsletter out each week with all the stuff we're working on. And the book is coming out 3.5 weeks. So excited.
Yay.
Worldwide premiere, and I'm glad for all the support. So guys, thank you so much. We'll talk